Hello guys, and welcome to my review of the Conquest in European War 6. First of all, there are two different kinds of conquest, 1789 and 1806, which we'll be looking at today. Before I look at these, there are a lot of conquest achievements like in the previous games, whereby winning with a 1-star country or a 2-star country or a 3-star country, you get different kinds of results this time, and you get different kinds of rewards. It's different for the 1806 conquest because you will get different kinds of rewards than at the 1789. You can, with your earnings from the conquests, get medals, which will be very helpful for the later game when you put those on your generals with different kinds of abilities. Let's get into one of the conquests. So here you can see the new Conquest Map. There are two kinds of factions. There is the French alliance with the Spanish, the Italians, the Polish, the Danes, and the Dutch. As you can see, Belgium is not here because Belgium obviously is not a country. Then there's the British side with the Brits, the Swedes, the Prussians, the Russians, and the HRE, which I haven't pointed out yet, Sardinia, and Portugal. I might have before forgot to show the Ottoman Empire, but they're also on the French side. So here you can see that on the map you can see that there's quite a big coalition against the French with major powers. Oh, stupid pop-up. Fighting against them, such as Russia, Prussia, and England. And I'll show you now probably one of the easier campaigns, which is the Russian campaign. First of all, there is this Tsar cannon, which is used by one of the best generals in the game, with some major buffs like 80% health increase, which is crazy in this game. Also, the Ottoman Empire doesn't start in the beginning, they only join after 14 rounds, so your major enemy in the south is not joining. Secondly, the Austrians can act as buffer between the French and the Spanish for you to build up a big army. And the British Navy is defending you south from the French Navy, which is quite helpful. Also, quite an interesting option would be the Ottomans, because same as the Russians, they also join quite late, and picking them from the beginning will give your faction a major boost. Also, you'll be able to sandwich the HRE with the French early on, before the Russians even might intervene. Let's have a look at the 1806 conquest. This time, right from the get-go, you can see the French, they own Portugal. They have gained lands in the north, in Germany, and puppeted some states. The Ottomans this time grew quite a bit, as well as the Russians, because the map is expanded in the south in comparison to the 1798 campaign. Also, you can see that Denmark owns a little piece in the north, which will be probably quite annoying to capitulate in the long run. Here you can see still the two puppets, Saxony and the Rhineland. On the other side, there is the Russian-English coalition with the Austrians very weakened this time, Prussia also not as strong, Sweden, the Brits with little islands there, and the new addition Morocco with Sicily, Sardinia, and that's about it. What you can see in comparison to before is that on the map probably benefit the French alliance, because the Ottomans gained tons of territory in the south. Also, got a little ally, Egypt next door. The Austrians were severely weakened. The Russians also gained a lot of land, but I might imagine that the additions probably helped the French alliance more than they might help the English alliance. So I would give the advice to probably choose the French in the 1806, or one of the allies of the French in the 1806 campaign, I wouldn't take countries in Central like Poland or the puppets of the French. What I would choose is maybe the Moroccans, which are at the edge of the map, or the Egyptians, which are also at the edge of the map. Might be quite the beneficial beginnings. Possibly one of the two, Danish or Swedish, might be a good choice. I still would have to look a bit and play a bit more Conquest to know which ones are the exact best starting positions. I now took the Russians as a little example here to show that they this time have an army in this house. But more importantly, in comparison to the 1798 campaign, this time the small nations joined later. For example, Sweden, Denmark joined late, but the major countries already start in the war. So the French, the Brits, the Spanish don't, but they also after 2 rounds. The Ottomans and the Russians all begin. So yeah, this time choosing a major country won't be as beneficial as choosing in the 1798 conquest. So, what are my general thoughts on the conquest in the European War 6? As in the last European wars, it has become increasingly difficult to play the conquest in the beginning. Sometimes you could win it easily in the beginning, but nowadays even the beginner conquests are very hard. I would say they probably should lower the conquest difficulties for the beginning, so that you might be able to win it with a good country, because now it seems very difficult to progress and not just get mobbed. As you can see in my gameplay here, I was playing as Morocco, and the only thing I managed to do is just get the little Spanish port, probably Ceuta, and defend it, but I couldn't do a lot more because I was mobbed by the Spanish. So generally I would say the difficulty is very high. You probably will need to progress a bit to get some good generals, to then actually be able to get the conquests, upgrade your units so you can kill the enemies. So I don't think it's strategically very smart to make conquest in the beginning so impossible for the new players who just want to play it for fun, because that is one of the aspects which I enjoy the most personally in all the easy ink games. But as a new player it can be quite demotivating. The diplomacy system, in my opinion, is as useful, or better said useless, as before. You won't be giving your resources away to friends because, let's face it, you need them so much more. The only situation I can imagine in using them is actually if you are already just on a run over Europe and some of your allies are failing and you just want that they can survive as long as possible. Otherwise they'll be useless. The new feature of getting an ally earlier into war or getting an enemy later into war might be interesting, but the problem is anyways that you can only keep them out for once. You can't do it more than once, so in the long term you still have to fight the big nations like Russia or the Ottoman Empire. So finally, I do find the conquest quite interesting, but they still would have to make it a bit more possible, at least at the start of the game, in the beginning campaigns. Maybe like in European War 5, where you still could win the beginning campaigns and motivate the players to play it. My thoughts are that, like I said in the beginning, the cities, the countries which are on the edge of the map or have close allies nearby are very useful. As I'm showing right now in the clip, I did very well as Ottoman Empire. I'm probably going to win this campaign in 1798. But that is because Russia joins very late and I had time to obliterate the Holy Roman Empire to that extent that just all of the French armies and the Danes could take over Sweden. So no problem. Russia probably also will be quite interesting, but I'm not sure how good they are because you'll just join a bit later. I would avoid, in the beginning at least, playing as countries as England or France, which have a major entry in the war at the beginning of the game. Choose later joining countries. As for the 1804 campaign or conquest, I would choose also countries which start late, so maybe the Danes or the Swedes might be quite good. and avoid choosing big nations which already have a very big involvement in the war. As for they will spam out generals, they will use their generals, and you don't have the general. So wait with using those countries until you rank up higher. Generally, I would, at least in the beginning now, I would give you the tip to play campaign, level up, get medals, get a very good general. Don't wait till you get, just don't get weak generals. I would save up because you can get quite far with the generals you're provided with by the game in the beginning at least. And then when you get those generals and you upgrade the generals, then come back for conquest with countries which seem harder in the beginning. Grind the Ottomans, play the Russians, try to find out which are the easy 1-star, 2-star countries, and like this gain in the game. Okay guys, thank you for watching and have a great day.